Welcome to NFL Rules Women-splained.
From your local favorite sports girls.
Because, no offense, men, if you're watching this, but when you mansplain, you tend to add about 500 extra steps that none of us need to understand. So we are here to dumb it all down for you, baby, because football's back. I'm sure your boyfriends, your husbands, your partners, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, whoever is watching football. And if you want to act like you know what's going on, we're going to help teach you to actually know.
Period.
What's going on. Right here, baby.
Try to make it as easy as possible for you.
Make it as easy as possible because
football is fun.
Football is fun, but it also is a little confusing.
Especially, it's really funny because Taylor Swift obviously has infiltrated the NFL.
So if you're going to be watching in hopes to see her, you might as well enjoy what you're watching.
Well, exactly. And some people started watching for her and realized that they liked football, but they still didn't understand it.
This is actually kind of fun.
It is fun.
It's so much fun.
We're going to make it easy for you.
We're going to tell you everything. We are going to break down positions. We're going to break down what the game is. We're going to break down penalties.
Offense, defense.
And we're going to start off with positions, and we're going to start off with offense, baby. And the offensive players, Caitlin, are what? What are they trying to do when they're on the field?
The offensive players are trying to take this here little football and score a touchdown on the opposing team's end zone. Each team has their own end zone. She will insert cute little pictures here. But yes, each team has their own end zone. And the offensive team is always trying to get the ball down the field to score either a touchdown or a field goal in the opposing team's end zone.
And the defensive team is trying to stop that from happening.
They are protecting their home. The end zone is their house,
it's
and
their
they're
baby,
protecting it. Yes.
And they don't want them anywhere near their end zone.
Yep.
All right. So let's start. There are 53 active players on each team. So if you were watching all or on social media and you were like, what does roster cuts mean?
And 53-man roster.
Yes.
Whatever
So
that
there were
is.
90 players at the beginning of summer and training camp, and all the teams had to trim down to only have a 53 active roster. Now they also have guys on a practice squad. If you ever see that, if you're big on TikTok, Isaac Cooch, as people like to talk to him, was a big. He was on practice squad last year, which is basically a team of several guys.
Still an NFL team. They're still a part of the NFL team.
Yes, that practice with the guys, and they are at every game. They do not play, but they could get called up depending on each week and play that game, which is called getting elevated, or at any point in time, another team can choose them to put on their active roster.
Yep. So if, say we're watching the Denver Broncos and say someone goes down, we need a center or something like that. They can literally be like, okay, Kansas City Chiefs, I like the center on your practice squad.
Need him, thank you.
Want him. And so they can literally pull him to
onto
their active roster. And he can come play an actual game for them, get elevated, but onto the Broncos active roster.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about active positions, which is on the field. And we're going to have some cute graphics. Our number one guy, I'm sure you know what they are, is the quarterback.
A quarterback is like your pitcher, like your, what was I going to say, point guard and everything in basketball. If you like
the highest IQ usually on the field.
Yep. They're the playmakers. They're the ones that are going to be, they got
a strong arm.
Yep.
Hopefully they know they have quick vision. You have to have quick thinking skills, think on your feet. They have to get back, look and see who's open, find the open man, or they're often passing to the guy behind them, which is your running back. So when you say, where'd the ball go? Someone is going directly into traffic. He's usually a little smaller. Because they're usually a bit buffer because their job is when you're like, oh my God, I just saw that guy run into all that traffic, because they're supposed to squeeze and bully their way through
the group
that's in the
football
center.
players in the center that you'll see. And we'll go through like all of those players too, but you'll see a lot of the times the quarterback will, hand it off to someone.
Or throw short yardage to a running back. Usually running backs don't have a lot of receiving yards.
Yes. They're not going to be running down the field or anything like that before they catch the ball. Their job is to literally be right there next to the quarterback. They're going to be receiving the ball the quickest if a play is called for them. They will be receiving the ball very quickly.
But the guys that are receiving, your skinny tall boys usually.
They are the wide receivers.
They are the wide receivers. They are running down the field, and you'll often hear them running routes because they are literally running a route to try and get away from the defensive job person that is going to guard them, which we will talk about next. And they are running as fast as they can, which is why Tyreek Hill is a popular name that most people know, because he calls himself Cheetah because he's very, very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, they're very fast. They're able to get away from the guy that wants to try and get the ball instead of them.
And a lot of the times you'll see them be a little bit taller because they, if you have like really long passes, you can jump up really high.
Reach the ball.
Exactly.
So when you see the ball soaring down the field from the quarterback, it is to a receiver. Yes. Hopefully he catches it.
The receivers are going to be the ones where you'll see, the line of guys on your offense.
And we'll put the little graphic and we'll highlight it.
Yep. And they're going to be the ones on the outside most point of the line because, again, they're going to be running routes. So they don't want to be in that group of traffic. Their job is to get as far out as they can. And so sometimes you'll see them, run straight and then cut in, which is called a post. Sometimes you'll see them, run a few yards and turn it. There's all sorts of routes that they have to run. But their job is to get open. Literally, they want to avoid the defenders as much as they can, try to get open, try to get an open look for the quarterback to pass it to them.
So often if you're listening, they'll be like, oh, they clearly were on the wrong route. You'll see the quarterback throw to where he thought the receiver was going to end up. And if they say it looks like there was some confusion on that play, it's usually because the receiver might have run the wrong route. So
yes, it does happen.
So in plays, usually there are plays where the receiver has a certain route that he is supposed to run. And that's what the quarterback thought he was going to run. And he might not have.
Yep. Period.
So next, before we get into like what they call the O-line, you have like a little hybrid player, which is your tight end, your Travis Kelce, your George Kittle, your white boys.
Yep. They are. I don't know why it is. They are almost all white boys.
But they are a hybrid mixture, which means they block and then they also go to run.
Yes. They almost have like two jobs essentially because they're like part of the O-line, but they can also catch and they can also run. So they're going to be kind of like the size of
half receiver. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like bulky. They're like as tall as a receiver.
Exactly.
But
bulky like a running back.
Bulky like a running back.
Yeah. Like, so you'll see them like a little bit taller, a little bit buffer. And literally their job is to block a player to either get themselves open or to protect the quarterback, whatever their job is at the time.
Short-ish distances, they're not going to catch usually the like 60 to 70 yard touchdowns.
You'll usually see your tight ends running 5 to 10 yards. Yes. That's like normally they're going to be your short distance
Patrick
players.
Mahomes to Travis Kelce. It's usually like a quick toss.
Yep.
And after he's done his little blocking job, and then he's open.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Literally, you'll see them block and then run their little route. So they kind of have a hard job.
Yes. Then we get to the offensive line where you have your right and left tackle, the right and left guard, and then your center who's smack dab in the middle.
Yep. And like if you were going from outside to inside, you're going to have your, your tackles.
These are our bigger guys, by the way.
These are going to be the guys on the line. They're the ones protecting the quarterback.
Yes.
Or making the hole for the running back.
Yes, trying to make sure that no one gets through.
Yep.
No one is sacking the quarterback, which we'll explain later. But that is their job. Like, that's their guy. If you've ever watched The Blind Side, he's like, that's your family. Yep. That is their job, and which is why it's called the line. Because they all line up together. Center is what Jason Kelce was, Travis Kelce's brother.
And the center is the one that starts with the football at the beginning of every single play.
Yes.
They're the ones bent over, and their job is to snap the football in between their legs directly to the quarterback. This is also a very tough job, kind of like another hybrid job because you are snapping the ball and then after
immediately blocking.
Yes, you have to literally do a perfect snap, hopefully directly to your quarterback, make it nice and pretty. And then your job is to start blocking and protecting that quarterback. So hard job, but a very important job.
So if someone in your family, friend group, anyone is yelling, oh my gosh, their O-line is terrible, it's probably because they're not doing a good job of holding back the defense, and they're not protecting their family.
Yep.
They're not doing
their
a good
family
job.
Is their quarterback or their running back or the receiver.
Anyone, it is their job to disrupt them, or like Caitlin said, make space for the running back to get a little weasel his way through.
So when you're seeing and you're like, when you see that guy that gets the football, the running back that gets the football from the quarterback, and you see him run directly into like that big pile of traffic, there's not really supposed to be a big pile of traffic, but it is really tough.
In the play, they were supposed to have a route, but it was in that close area for the running back to sneak through, which is why he's usually smaller. Yep. And that's why they call, bully, because running backs are usually good at breaking tackles.
Yes, which means like just pushing through, avoiding the tackles when, guys are coming for them.
If someone is trying to push them down, breaking a tackle means he got out of it and he's like, nice try, sucker.
Sorry, still going.
Sorry, I'm still going to get my yardage.
Yeah,
Bye.
so if you have a really great O-line, you will see the space being made. Your offensive line will be pushing the defensive players out, and you'll literally see space being made, and that's when running backs are able to do their best work, when they have that gap, they have that hole that they can run directly through and avoid the defenders.
And you will also see that the quarterbacks have a ton of time to throw the ball, because if
they have a good offensive line.
When you often see the defense and you see a guy coming straight to the quarterback, that's because he got away from one of the O-line blocking. So if you ever watched Tom Brady, if your dad ever watched Tom Brady, he had a fantastic O-line, because Tom Brady
all his life.
He had plenty of time to assess who was open. So, and that's not always the case.
Yes. Tom Brady had it's called the pocket. And I don't even think we really even talked about the pocket, but the pocket is a place where the quarterback essentially sits.
Back.
Yep, he has dropped back. Once he has the football, you'll see him drop. It's normally like a 5-step drop back. You'll see him like on their cute little toes. They literally practice footwork for it. It's really funny. But you'll see literally almost like a little U shape. The way that like it ends up working out, it's like a little U shape, and that's their pocket. They're going to sit in that pocket, and that's where they're going to be moving around and assessing,
figuring out if they need to run, if none of their guys are open,
if they have an open man, exactly.
Yes. Or find the right receiver. He ran his route, and he's going to throw the ball.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons that while Tom Brady is a fantastic quarterback, obviously probably the best of all time, he is someone that had an awesome offensive line around him at all times. I always used to joke, Tom Brady just has 10 minutes in the pocket.
Yeah,
he
just
can
hang out.
He can just eat lunch before choosing
who am I going to throw to?
Yeah, he had a great offensive line in front of him for most of his career, and he was able to spend a lot of time in the pocket. And so having a really great offensive line is so important for your quarterback, period.
Moving on. That was the offense, baby.
And if you counted, that is 11 players. There are 11 players on the field on each team at a time. There can be no more. There can be no less. 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense.
You get a penalty.
Otherwise it's a penalty, which we'll go over. But yes, so 11 players on each side. I just wanted to add that part.
So obviously the 11 players on defense are trying to screw up and ruin those guys' day.
And there's normally like a matchup and everything like that. A defense to offense matchup. Once we go into the defense right now, we'll talk about those.
So the furthest line back are the safeties. There are 2 safeties, and they are the last line of defense.
Yes, the safety, I was going to say. So your safety is such a perfect name for them, because they are like literally your safety net. If the guys on offense are able to get
break
through,
tackles, get through,
their job is literally to be there and be ready and be able to tackle.
What does Aaron Gordon call himself? The cleanup crew?
Yes,
the safeties are the cleanup crew.
Yes, they are there literally as a safety net. And they're and depending on the type of like defense that's being ran or called or whatever.
They could be playing almost a linebacker position or a quarterback position.
And sometimes you'll see them like really far back down the field, because if they're playing against a team that likes to do long passes and stuff like that, then you'll see them be a little bit further back, because they're going to be wanting to cover a little bit more of the field. Yes. If you have a team with a really good running back or a really good run game where they use a lot of run plays, a lot of the times you'll see them squeeze. Yes. And squeezing is when they kind of get in a little bit closer and kind of help out that defensive line. And and make it a little bit harder to disrupt.
Help up the guys up front.
Exactly. They're going to try to make it a little bit harder to disrupt and make sure that there is no gap and that they can tackle those guys.
So they also have a hybrid position, kind of like a tight end. They have several little areas that it is their job to focus on.
Yep. And they are going to be strong, fast. And they're almost like your tight end, but like on defense because they have to be.
They line up further back.
Exactly. They're going to be a little bit taller, but also strong because they're going to be tackling. They can also, all sorts of stuff. They do a lot.
Yes. And then we have our cornerbacks or defensive backs. Those terms are usually used interchangeably.
People get confused.
I used to get confused when I was first learning football.
Totally.
I definitely thought they were two different positions. They are doing the same thing. So on the opposing side, these are the guys most often that would have been receivers if they were better at catching.
Totally, yeah.
But they are the guys that are basically bothering, pestering, being annoying towards the receivers.
Yes, so they're going to line up directly with the receivers on that outside. Like 99% of the time, they are direct matchups with those wide receivers.
They are following those receivers. They are trying to get their hands in the mix without... bothering touching enough, because if you touch enough, then you have a penalty.
You have to be clean with it. I think that we talk about this in our
very
NFL episode.
Yes.
But it's a very tough but underrated position. It's so hard.
Underrated. We love cornerbacks.
Yes. The thing is that you have to be so fast like a receiver.
Yes.
But your important job is that you kind of always want to be in front of the receiver, which means you have to be following that receiver,
figuring out which route he's running.
Yep, where he's going, stay in front of him.
You almost to be one step ahead of him.
Yeah, because the problem is that if you're behind the receiver, if you end up somehow behind the receiver is still technically open. So the receiver can catch this pass, and in your brain, cornerbacks are so likely to try to jump in and block that pass, and that's they can get a penalty by doing that.
Pass interference.
Yeah, pass interference if they're,
And even if they did tackle the guy once he got the ball, he still got the ball, which means they advanced.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Cornerbacks are very important. They always have to be ready. They always have to be ready to also, if they can, get in there and catch the ball like a receiver. Yes. And then they can steal it and run away with it.
Yep. And cornerbacks are also, like I said, literally same kind of type of player as the receivers. They're going to be your tall, skinny, fast guys that have great hands, that, are fast and can kind of read an offense really well. They need to be able to kind of assume where your receiver is going
to end up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. After that, we have our middle and outside linebackers, one of my favorite positions because I like to see some tackles.
I love that for you.
Love it. So these are most often, if not, the guys that you are going to see rushing, which means
running at
either a quarterback or running back. They are trying to get basically whoever has the ball.
Yes.
So
they want to literally. They see this ball. That's what they want.
If they're fast
enough,
they
want you with it.
If they're fast enough and can get around the O-line, if the O-line doesn't protect their quarterback, they can get the quarterback and they're going to tackle him.
That's called a sack.
And if not, they are looking for the running back. Whoever has the ball, it is their job. So they are kind of built, I would say, like a tight end. They're not...
Yeah. Your outside linebackers?
Yeah, they're like a running back on steroids, in my opinion.
they're definitely going to be
because they're bulky,
buff,
or they're buff because you got to take down guys, but they are usually a little bit taller because, again, you have to take down a variety of positions.
Yeah, and I was going to say, too, again, these are going to be almost like direct matchups with those five guys on the offensive line.
Yes.
You're going to see...
You're the furthest.
Exactly, and so you have to be big because when you have the offensive line, again... The offensive line is protecting the quarterback. So these are going to be bigger guys that can shove guys out and block and make sure that
they're not the biggest, of course, on the defensive end.
Exactly.
It's like as you go in, it gets
they get bigger.
The bigger the guys get. So then you have your defensive line, who again are the matchup for the offensive line.
Yeah.
So either if you ever hear the D line or the O line, the defensive tackles, those are the big dudes, the big guns that are, pushing back on the O-line. They're trying to not make space for the running back to run a route in between them. And, they're trying to pressure the team back as much as they can.
Yep. And you want to know what's so funny is I find it so weird. I always say that football, when you understand it, is such a beautiful game. It is such a beautiful, just competition in general. And I feel like every position has part. Every position has a role, obviously, and like with those linebackers,
everyone's important.
Exactly. One of like my
Everyone's
favorite
got a
things
job
to
to
watch when I used to, be a part of the football team at my high school. One of my favorite things to watch would be the lines like practice their like hand kind of movements and stuff like that, and like they literally have like they have like specific hand movements that they do to like get around offensive line. It's just like, it's so cool to watch. And like, if you see a guy like get around an offensive lineman like perfectly, you'll see that they all do the exact same thing with their arms. And it's just because it's like the best way to do it. It's just super cool to watch. Sorry, that was just like my sidebar. I love football so much.
We love football. So those are the guys that, the offense is on the field. Those are the 11 guys. And then when defense is on the field, and then the teams, often go back and forth. So there are one more group of guys, and they're called the special teams guys, which have a lot of different roles. They come on for certain parts of the game. So
that's why they're special teams.
That's why they're special.
Yes.
They're so sweet. We love them. So we're going to explain a little bit of the game first, and then we're going to go into special teams. So you're not as lost, I guess, when we're kind of explaining what they do.
With special teams, like they come in at very specific times, and you're not going to understand what why we're talking about or why they're coming in until we explain a little bit about the game. So we're going to walk through how the game kind of works.
Yes. So Caitlin and everybody, class is in session. Every team has 4 downs to make 10 yards, which 1 down is 1 snap or 1 play, 1 center getting the ball to the quarterback. Pew, pew. So
that was so good.
Thanks. I loved it. So often, if you're ever watching other people watch the game, or you see the TV and you see on the screen 3rd and 8 or 4th and 10 or 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, their job, this is involving the offense, is they have 4 downs to make 10 yards, and they're working their way
down the
field to the end zone. So if you don't get at least 10 yards
in your 4
downs,
plays, yes. And they're like, I would say they're even like, you can call them like tries, 4 attempts, 4 plays. Exactly. Yep. To get those 10 yards.
And if you do not, then you now have to give the ball back to the other team.
Yep.
So a lot of the time you will see on the 3rd try, on the 3rd try is kind of really their last attempt.
Depending on where they are
on the
field
position. So how close they are to getting a goal. So if they're far away or if they're in the middle of the field. On the 4th down, if they didn't get it, they will. So if it says like 4th and 4 and 5 or 4 and 7 or 4 and 15, you're usually going to have, and we'll explain their positions, the special teams come on and kick the ball so it's as far away as possible for turning the ball over. So
yes, because essentially what it's called is like your when the special teams comes out on the 4th down, you'll see it, like I said, a lot of the time, depending on field position, which is where the line of scrimmage currently is on the field. So where they're all lining up to play. So say, it's 4th and 3, and they're like, okay, we can either run one more play and try to get 3 yards, or we can just kick the ball 40 yards and have the other team start way further down.
They're going to have a much longer way to go.
Yes, to get to their end zone. Because if, say, the offensive team decides to go for it and they try to go for the 1st down, they try to get those 3 yards. If they don't get those 3 yards, if they don't get the 3 yards and they don't get the 1st down, the ball is turned over
automatically
at that line of scrimmage.
Right there.
Yes. And so you don't want to be like close to your end zone, because if you're close to your end zone, again, that is your home. Yes, that is your home. That's what you're protecting. Exactly. And so the punter or the special teams, the punt team will come out, and you'll have a punter who is a type of kicker, normally separate from the guy kicking your field goals and everything like that. They will have a long snapper, which is like your center, but their snaps directly to the kicker are going to be very far. Yes. Like they're snapping the ball. This is a very hard position because you have to snap the ball literally like 10 to 20 yards to this punter.
For them to kick it.
Yes. And then literally the punter, you're drop kicking it. So you'll see a lot of the times when the football's on the ground and they're holding it like this, that's for your actual kicker. Or you'll see the punter, which is going to catch the long snap, and they're going to drop
it on their foot
and kick it as far as they can. Thank you. Is that good?
It was so good.
Call me NFL. I am a free agent.
Every team, of course, is moving forward for a touchdown. They're trying to do their 4 yards to get that.
They're 4 downs.
They're 4 downs, yeah. They're 4 downs to get their 10 yards. So usually on the first down, they will either make a pass to the running back or to a receiver. And they basically will do those 3 downs and then see where they're at.
Yes, and something important too that I just want to add is that with your 10 yards, it's not 10 yards that you're trying to get every single play unless you make it past that first down. Unless you make it past that first down line. If you're watching it on the TV, you'll see one line, which is normally black or green or something like that. And that's going to be your line of scrimmage.
Where all the guys are lining up.
Yep, that's where the teams are lining up. And then you'll see a yellow line. It's 99.9% going to be yellow. And that is your first down line. That is where the team is trying to get for the first down. Yes. And so if it is 10 yards... and say the first play, your team gets 3 yards, it doesn't push that first down further out. It doesn't push it any further out. It becomes...
the line of scrimmage gets closer to your yellow line.
Exactly. The yellow line is going to stay put. And so then it becomes 2nd and 7. So it means it's your second try and you have 7 more yards to go to get that first down.
While if you are in first, second, third, or any down, and you have your yellow line that you're trying to get, and you also have the line of scrimmage where they're lined up, if a quarterback gets tackled or if a player
even a
gets
running
pushed back, a running back gets pushed back behind where they were lined up, they now have lost yardage.
Yes, you can add yards. So it's not always 10 yards either.
Yes, it can be 2nd and 12.
Exactly. If the quarterback gets sacked, say on the first play on your first down, your first try, your quarterback's going to go try to make a play.
It'll be 2nd and 14 sometimes.
Exactly.
2nd and 15.
Sometimes you'll see a quarterback get tackled way behind that line of scrimmage. Yes. And it becomes then 2nd and 14 because that means that they got tackled 4 yards behind that line of scrimmage, which means that they are now further away from the yellow line, which is that first down.
So often, if there is a thing, if they got tackled and, they've had 2 bad plays, it's their 3rd try and it's 3 and 15, more often than not, they're trying to throw the damn thing.
They're going to try to make a pass play.
They're going to try and throw to a receiver, again, after 15 yards so that they can get their first down.
Exactly.
Because otherwise they are likely to have to punt or figure out what they want to do.
Yep. And another time that you can lose yardage as well, and we'll talk about all the penalties, but if your team does get a penalty, say the offensive team gets some sort of penalty, which again we'll go through, say you lose 5 yards, your penalty is 5 yards back, then again it can be 1st and 15, or you can
have a
even lose
20-yard penalty.
Totally. Yes. I mean, you can literally be as far back as freaking 2nd and 40. I've seen it happen.
It doesn't always happen, but
it doesn't happen often, but it can. And so you want to obviously avoid those penalties because you do get screwed. You do end up getting further away.
And it's ruining your chances of advancing to the next first down
or whatever. Yeah. Because the thing is too, is that once you hit that yellow line and you get that first down, it resets wherever you got that first down, even if it was 5 yards after the first down, your line of scrimmage is now where that ball was down after that 10 yards, wherever that was, say it was on the 20-yard line, that's your new line of scrimmage where everyone is lining up. And then now you have 10 yards. So it'll almost always start out as 1st and 10.
Yes.
You will always have that 10 yards to go once you have a new set.
So every team is obviously moving forward. The goal is to get a touchdown, but there are 4 ways, essentially, to get
ways
points.
To score. Yeah.
So a touchdown, which is the most popular way of scoring, obviously, equals 6 points.
Yeah.
After you get the touchdown, you have, and the coach gets to make the call, you can kick, which your kicker comes on, and they can kick through the field goal.
And those are called PATs, and that means it's a point after touchdown because it is one singular point.
Yes, a kick is one singular point, or you can run a play for a 2-point conversion.
Yes, the kick after a touchdown is one singular point. Yeah.
A kick after a touchdown is one singular point, or you can run a play for 2 points. So more often than not, if there's a Super Bowl or something where they're down they're down 1 point, which can happen if a field goal was missed or something. Yep. That's why you see different score names or score numbers yep. More often than not, because if they miss a kick, they just got 6 points. If they got the kick, they had 7. Or you can run a play to get 8 total points, which they can either rush, which is the running back more often than not, or quarterback will run at the
I think they start at the 10-yard line.
Yes.
So like when you decide to go for two, you'll hear that. Yeah, you'll hear,
they're going for 2.
They're going for 2.
They're going for 2.
And that means that they're not going to kick the ball, but they essentially, I like to call it like your mini touchdown. They get a chance to bring your offense back on. This really isn't going to be your special teams or anything like that. It's going to be your offense.
Your quarterback.
Exactly. Your quarterback, your running backs, your receivers, and you'll see them all stay on the field. And what they're going to do is they're going to start on that 10-yard line, and their job is to score like a mini touchdown. So they only have to go 10 yards, but if they get those 10 yards...
They have one chance.
They have one chance, one shot. Yes. You have one shot to do this. And if you don't get it, then obviously you just
get 6.
You just get with the 6 points. But if you are able to get your mini touchdown, score in the end zone, you get 8 total points for that play.
Yeah, so a lot of times you'll find if they have really good receivers, they'll run that play and they'll throw to a really good receiver. Or they'll have, if you have a good bully, good running back, or a good rushing. Lamar Jackson is an incredible rushing quarterback, which means he's really good at keeping the ball and getting yardage. So that more often than not, you're going to see a kick for a single point.
Yes.
The final point, the final way to score points is a solo kick, which is 3 points. So this is something, again, special teams is brought out. This is what happens usually if they are close enough, but not close enough for a touchdown on a fourth down. So often you'll see a little dashed line and it'll say kicker, like target or whatever, or punt target. And it will be the line that usually is the safe zone that team's kicker can make it through the field goals.
Yeah, that's usually like the farthest field goal that they can
kick. So that's they'll often say, again, if it's third down, this is how close they're trying to get so they can kick a field goal. So this results
because sometimes you don't
points.
have enough time for a touchdown. Like sometimes you're, at the end of a half or even at the end of a game and you just want to be able to score some points. Or, if it's the end of a game and you're just trying to tie the game or even obviously beat, if you're only down 1. Like all you want to do
you need points on the board.
Yeah, you need points on the board. And so, they'll give you that kicker target. And it's essentially the offense's job to try to get to that kicker target so that they're able to put the kicker in good enough field position to make a field goal and get those 3 points. Because you're not kicking that one after a touchdown. You're kicking that to get those 3 points by yourself.
And they can still be close-ish to the goal. Sometimes they can have had 3 tries to throw in the end zone. And if it just isn't working out, usually
they'll do a short kick.
They're going to bring in a short kick just to at least get the points.
Yep.
This happened a lot in the games on Sunday, actually. There was one game with 6. The 49ers had 6 kicks, and their kicker made all 6 of them. So the kicker is a very important position, and you'll find out usually that a lot of your kickers used to be, shocker, soccer players.
Totally.
Because they have the power, or even I know some girls soccer players end up being kickers on high school football teams.
Good
yeah,
too,
they're pretty dang good. So that is what happens for a solo kick. So those are the ways that you can score points.
Should we talk about the way that you can score defensive points?
Yes.
Since the Broncos decided to do it several times.
And I feel like a lot of people, because it doesn't happen in every game or even every week. Like it
Truly,
is a rare thing.
It's rare, yeah.
And the name for it is also the name of a position. So I think it gets kind of confusing. So
it's called a safety. And you'll see guys go like this.
Do the safety dance. And the Broncos had 2.
Almost 3.
Almost 3 on Sunday. Would you like to explain what a safety is?
Sure. Yes. So a safety, as we've explained before, the end zones are obviously your scoring areas. And each team has an end zone. And so if I am on offense, my end zone is always behind me because that is... I'm trying to get into the defensive team's end zone. And so If we somehow ended up in field position where I am very close to my end zone, we're very close to my house. Say I'm like on the 5-yard line or something like that. I'm on the 5-yard line and my end zone is behind me. Obviously, I have 95 yards to go to get to the other.
You got a long way to go, buddy.
Way to go down the field. So if I'm like 5 yards away from my own end zone, I'm still trying to go that way. I'm still trying to score that way. Say I'm the quarterback. I take my 5 steps back. A lot of the time you'll see the quarterback in their own end zone trying to make a play. That's when they're sitting in the pocket looking for their receivers down the field. A lot of the time when you're in that field position, you are going to want to throw the ball, because if you're running the ball and you're keeping yourself and your team really close to your own end zone. You're putting yourself in position to get a safety, which is like if a defensive player sacks the quarterback in the end zone, that is a safety. That means that you have essentially the defense has put the offensive team, the ball is down in the end zone, and that gives the defensive team 2 points. This can also happen. Say I am the quarterback. I hand the ball off to the running back. The running back tries to make it through somewhere. The defensive team literally pushes that running back back, and they tackle this guy in the end zone. So they go back 5 whole yards or whatever it may be. If the ball is down for the offensive team in their end zone, it is 2 points for the defensive team.
And again, this does not happen a lot.
It happens
so for the Broncos
rarely
to have 2 almost 3 was like crazy.
Yes, and honestly, I think that a lot of this has to do with the new kick.
Yes.
With the new
kickoff rule, which we already have a video explaining.
We do, and we can even link that down here so that you can go watch that.
I'll link it at the end of the video so you can go there right after.
Yes, because if you watch the kickoff video and everything like that, the kicker now should be a little bit more strategic about where they place those kicks. The kicker's going to want to kick it as close to the other team's end zone as possible, because if the ball is down really close to that end zone, you are putting yourself in fantastic field position as the defensive team to get that safety. You want it to be as close to their end zone as possible. You want the offensive team to be as far away from your end zone as possible, because again, you're protecting your house. So the further away they are, the better. And if you can tackle them in their own end zone, 2 points.
2 points.
Again, doesn't happen very often, but I think we're probably going to be seeing a little bit more, which I love. I think that they're really cool plays. I think
because they don't happen all the time. So it's very fun.
Exactly. It is really fun. But yeah, like I said, you'll see, bam, you'll see a bunch of guys do that, and that's the sign for a safety.
Safety dance.
Exactly.
So we're going to go back and finish our positions now that we've given you a little bit of the game, because now we have our special guys, our special ops, our special forces. So special teams is, again, more guys from the 53-man roster who have a very special position on the team that is apart from their regular job.
So you have your punter, which I talked about. Your punter is going to be, like I said, someone separate from the kicker. That's going to be you're going to have a punt team come out. Again, normally you'll see them on 4th downs come out, try to kick the ball as far away as possible. And so you'll have your punter, and then you'll have your kicker. The guy that normally kicks your field goals will actually kick a kickoff, which is after you score, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. You're going to see your kicker come out, and they are going to be kicking the ball.
There's a new kickoff.
Yep, there's a new kickoff, and the kicker will be kicking the ball down the field from the 35-yard line.
Yes.
From their 35-yard line.
So you also have a holder. His job is to hold the damn ball. He has to hold the ball for his bestie to come and kick it, which seems like a very simple job, but I would be very scared. I'd be like, hello, please don't rip my hand off.
Yeah, and like the thing is too is that like, so with being the holder, you have a long snapper again. Which I explained a little bit. He's a special center. Yep, exactly, which I explained a little bit earlier. They're the ones that will snap the ball, but they do it at further distances. And so your holder will be there for like field goals, and they literally, their job is to catch the ball as quickly as possible.
Put it down
just like this in perfect position for the kicker.
For the kicker to come and kick it.
Yep, so that's literally all their job is. But when I tell you, if they F up their job, it literally ruins it for everyone.
It ruins their day, besties.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. So while it may seem like it's a super easy job, it is a very important job.
Yes. So then you also have your kick or punt returner, which is the guy that is going to be receiving the ball and trying and running with it
as far as they can down the field.
As soon as he can, he's going to try, almost like a running back, he's going to try and get away from all of the guys coming at him. And he's going to try and get his team, because he's going to try and get to the opponent's end zone as far as he can. So it's usually he's going to be pretty damn far back.
He's going to be very close to his own end zone.
Yes.
Which is scary.
And as soon as he catches it, people can start coming at him. So that is his time to try and be, again, you're going to have like one of the fastest people on the team receiving that. And he is going to try and get extra yards for his team so that they are starting the next play when they bring the offense in at a good, advantageous, big word, position for that.
Yes, and here's the thing, too, that I love is that punt returners and kick returners are some of my favorite positions because they can make just such cool plays.
Yes.
But a lot of the times, like you think about football players and you're like, or even like basketball players, whatever. Like they're all tall athletes. These guys can be so short and small and fast. It literally does not matter. Trindon Holiday used to play for the Broncos, literally was 5'5" and one of my absolute favorite returners ever. And so, you'll see a lot of them. I think the Broncos currently have a 5'7" guy.
Yeah.
A lot of them have them. You're literally, I feel like if you're like smaller, you're able to like squeeze through
and
these
like,
guys.
listen, God bless these guys because it doesn't always happen, of course, but every once in a while, someone will return for a touchdown, which means they are basically running the entire length of the field without anybody catching up to them.
Yes, and I mean, literally, if they're doing that, like you have to think about it, they have 11 defensive players coming at them. And they were able to get away from all of them. Obviously, they probably had their, special teams blockers and stuff like that, who were able to help block for them and make these little holes and everything like that so that they're able to get through. But their job is essentially to run that ball as far down as they can because wherever the ball ends up is where the first down will start, where your first and 10 will start for the offense. So
then we have the up back, or also known as your personal protector. He is kind of like a safety. He is the last line of defense for the punter.
Protecting that punter and the ball.
Protecting that punter, protecting that damn ball. Now you have, again, you still have matchups and special teams. So your gunner is your player on kickoffs and punts who is going straight for.
They're doing the blitzing.
They're doing the blitzing, the rushing. They're coming for the guy that's holding the ball. So they're the guys that are good at getting around his defense,
fast,
trying to block him. Yep. And he is running to get past them and try and tackle that guy with the ball.
Yep.
And then on the opposing side, the jammer is going to try and stop him. He is going to try and slow down the gunners so the returners have more time, like quarterbacks, to run and find space and get to a good field position.
Yep.
And that is your special teams.
Special besties.
Special teams, special besties. We love them.
Yep.
Now I think it's time for a little NFL glossary. So we're going to break down like the most common terms.
Yeah, that you'll hear a lot throughout the game. Yes. And then you're going to be ready for your first game on Sunday, baby.
So I'm going to go hand in hand and I'm going to talk about fumble and incomplete because if you're just learning, you might be confused on why an incomplete is not a fumble.
Yep.
So an incomplete is what happens when a quarterback has thrown to a receiver and he either is butterfingers and drops it, or it goes nowhere near him. But an incomplete is where it was thrown at an intended receiver and he either drops it, misses it.
It is not a complete pass. A complete pass is obviously caught. And so this is an incomplete pass, which means that there was no one who caught the ball.
Or, that's where the cornerbacks come in position. That's what they're aiming for every time.
Is to help get that incomplete
One
pass.
of the things, There's another thing that they want to. And then you have fumble. So a fumble is when a running back or quarterback, whoever is running with the ball, drops the ball while running with it.
And that means, and they have to have had possession of the ball, which means that you are holding the ball securely.
You're holding the ball like a damn baby. But if you're not...
Protect this baby.
If you're not protecting that baby... Either someone can get in there, which is why and if that happens,
it's a fumble.
It's a fumble. The other team, it is anyone's ball at that point.
Yes, if the ball was once secured by your offensive player and a defensive player comes and knocks it out, or even the offensive player at some point drops it, it is considered a fair fumble game. And it is fair game for anyone on the field.
So if you're lucky and you were that offensive player that fumbled the ball, you're hoping one of your buddies or yourself
is
ready to pick it back up. And so often you'll see when you see a ball slip out while someone's running with it, dog pile, because
you will literally
see trying to get a hand on a ball. Yep. So if someone fumbles the ball, whoever had the position lets it fall out. If a defensive player picks it up, which is always fun because, again, the defensive players are usually not the guys running for touchdowns or anything. He can pick it up and he can
start running unless he gets tackled.
And because there's a fumble, so the offense has to immediately switch gears and turn into defensive players, try and tackle that guy.
Yep.
Because more often than not, you'll see everyone. Fumbles cause confusion. So usually a defensive player can, if he gets that fumble, he can get pretty far or even get a touchdown. Depends on how fast he is. It's really fun when you see the big guys get the ball because they never get the ball. And so when they get the chance, they are so happy, and we love happy people. So it's very fun.
They do. They get so excited too.
They get so excited.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see me, Mom?
Yes.
I had the ball.
Literally, though. It's so cute.
It's so great.
It is.
And then literally my favorite thing ever in the world is a pick six. Do you want to tell the class what a pick six is? Because I love
So like I said, my favorite positions growing up were always quarterback, wide receiver, and cornerback. And a lot of the times, this can be caught by anyone, but a pick is another word for an interception, which is when a defensive player essentially catches the ball from the quarterback. The quarterback is trying to throw to
his guy, not the other guy.
Exactly.
The other guy said, oop, that's mine now.
Yeah. So the quarterback is trying to throw to his receiver. And if the cornerback, the guy
or defensive
back or whoever it may be,
gets his hands in there.
Yep. Gets his hands in there and is able to catch that ball instead of the receiver.
It's his now.
That is an interception, and he may now start running the other way. And if the cornerback or defensive player, whoever caught that ball, runs all the way back down to your offensive team's end zone. So, yeah.
He gets a touchdown.
Yeah,
defensive
he gets a
player
touchdown.
Stole the ball from the offense.
Run it all the way back.
Goes to get a touchdown.
Yep. And that's 6. So that's obviously 6 points.
So it's called
a pick six. So it's an interception for 6 points. A pick six.
Yes.
And it just sounds way better. Pick six.
Pick six. I love it. I love a good pick six.
It is.
I love
such an exciting play. Yeah.
Interceptions are things that happen almost every game. At least one, not at least one time, but occasionally they're going to happen. So that is when the quarterbacks make that play. They get in front of the receiver in time to get their hands up. So you'll hear things like high traffic, high coverage, things that the quarterback who's throwing the ball, if he sees 2 cornerbacks on one receiver, it would be a really dumb thing for him to throw that way because the chances have doubled now for him, and they're always going to say it's the quarterback's fault.
Yep.
Throws an interception.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, it's essentially, like I said, the defensive team, they're always going to want the football.
Yes.
No matter what, they want the football back. And so when they
either want it back for their offense or they're going to steal it.
Exactly. And so you'll also see a lot of guys, there's stuff, you can strip the ball too.
Yes.
And this is very similar to an interception or whatever. But if you strip the ball and cause a fumble,
defensive player is causing a fumble.
Yeah. So go ahead and strip me.
The interception is a quarterback, stealing it from the receiver. A strip is a defensive player stealing it from a running back, quarterback, anyone who has the ball in their possession and is running with it.
Running.
Speaking of quarterbacks, and we've already mentioned this term and kind of said it, but a sack is another big play, which can cause you, again, to lose your yards.
Yeah.
So a sack is when a quarterback is tackled with the ball, obviously still in his hand, behind the line of scrimmage. So your linebackers, that is their main thing on their mind.
They're
usually
staring right at the quarterback.
They're like, I'm coming for you, dude.
It's me and you, bro.
Deshaun Watson got sacked 6 times.
That is a lot, by the way.
That's so many times.
Yeah.
And again, the internet has claimed that was not even the O-line's fault. That's even more embarrassing for you. Anyway, womp womp. So yes, so a sack is when the linebackers do their job, you can either have, a solo guy sacking, or you'll see a team of besties coming up and you'll see them pressuring. And more often than not, if you see two guys and you suddenly see the quarterback start running
out,
it's because he's like, I don't want to lose yards. So,
and that's called scrambling.
So he's scrambling. He's like, do I run it? Do I throw to someone? If they said he threw away the ball, it's because he wants it out of his hand. If it's out of his hand, he does not lose the yardage.
Yes, because when you're getting sacked, you have to have the quarterback has to have possession of the ball.
Yes. So if it's out of his hand,
for it to be a sack,
he got tackled after he threw it. The line of scrimmage stays the same. It's just another down. Your next try, you gained nothing.
Try again. Yep. So
try again, besties.
Yep. So if the quarterback is looking around, he's sitting in that pocket, and your defensive players are able to kind of break out of their blocks and get towards that quarterback. You'll see this.
In our next term, they're rushing.
Yep, exactly. They are rushing, which means that they are essentially running at the quarterback. They are putting pressure on the quarterback for the quarterback to make a decision faster, hopefully make a mistake, or so that they can sack them. And like I said, you have to have possession of the ball in order for it to be a sack. The quarterback has to be holding the ball when you tackle them. And wherever you tackle...
Behind the line of scrimmage is a sack. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say, wherever you
Otherwise, he's just tackled.
Exactly. Wherever you are behind the line of scrimmage with the football, wherever they're down, say they're tackled 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, they just lost 4 yards on that sack.
Sucks.
Yes, and so that's why you will see some quarterbacks throw the football away, because like Spencer said, it just that's essentially your play. You threw away a play, and so now it's going to be 2nd and 10. So it's your second
Unfortunate
try.
For you, besties.
Exactly. But some people would prefer to throw it away and get a 2nd and 10
then
rather than a 2nd and 14.
Yes, you honestly don't have much options. I mean,
it kind of sucks either way.
Lamar Jackson is a wonderful person. He is better. He's a great rushing quarterback. So if he has to scramble, he's going to run the damn ball, and he's going to figure out a way.
And quarterbacks can always run the ball forward themselves, and sometimes they will if you see them scrambling, like trying to avoid.
Sorry.
If you see them scrambling, trying to avoid the defensive players that are rushing at them, you'll sometimes see them run around the pocket where those defenders are, and they will just run themselves. They're
trying to find any place that they can squeeze in and not lose their yards. Because
exactly.
So another thing that you will often hear people complaining about, or whining about, people getting annoyed. Penalties, baby. Or flag on the play. If you see a flag on the play, it is because there is a penalty. If you're like, what is that yellow thing in the middle of the field? Why are there 3 of them? It's because there are 3 penalties.
Can I tell you something hilarious? Yes. This is just a story for the class. This is just like how much I talk sports in my household. My 5-year-old, when we were in Colorado several months ago, when my mom and I told my 5-year-old to go upstairs and go to bed and stuff like that, and that it was time for bed. And my mom does the stats for my high school's football team, and we're just like a big sports family. And so we had this she has this little yellow flag that was in her living room. My 5-year-old literally picked it up and threw it down and said, "Flag on the play," which essentially means, "No, ma'am." Not me, not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
So flags are important because if they are thrown, they can be thrown before the game even starts, before the ball is even snapped, which means they have to be like, okay, what did we do?
What happened?
Nothing happens. Or they can be thrown after the ball is snapped, after the play is already happening. If everyone was whining about that really cool play that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes did because of one of the penalties we're going to explain, which means that if the penalty involves the play enough, it can cancel it. I don't know, erase it, basically do over. They'll say repeat.
They
second
literally,
down.
They can literally say
scratch whatever the fuck y'all just did.
Yep. They can literally be like, that was a great play, but you didn't follow the rules. Do it again.
Sorry.
And so,
retry.
But it counts. Yeah, I was gonna say they redo second down.
Yeah, they'll say repeat second down.
Exactly.
Repeat third down. Repeat first down. Or if something happens where you lose 5 yards, lose 20 yards, then. Now it's 2nd and 15, besties.
Yep, you'll lose if they say, false start.
Even if you got a first down, you can then. It would now be what does it end up being, 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15?
Yeah, I think it ends up being 1st and 15.
So yeah, you can get your first down, but if you didn't follow the rules, now it's 1st and 15. Try again. Try again,
depending
and you
on
lost
what the
yardage.
penalty
So now you
was.
have to try again and go further.
Yeah, and the penalties can be really anywhere between 5 and 20 yards. 20 yards is usually your furthest penalty. And so, once the ball is snapped, or even obviously before the ball is snapped, literally flags can be thrown just at any point during the game.
It's really annoying.
It just
You'll
doesn't
see
matter.
them more often than not a ton in the first
beginning.
couple weeks.
In the beginning of the season,
We
they're
gotta
trying to be strict.
We gotta act all tough.
Yeah, we're cracking down.
We're cracking
year.
down.
By game 3, you'll see it half as much.
It's not as serious, I promise.
Yes, but penalties are something that someone just wasn't following the rules, and they were either not holding the right way, or they jumped before the play started. There's
so
all
that's
sorts.
like before the play, you have things like false start
or illegal formation.
Illegal formation or offsides.
Yep, those are your 3 that
So basically, you didn't follow the rules. Offsides means your player is not lined up where they should be.
On the line of scrimmage. They might even have like a foot over the line of scrimmage, and they'll have no idea. Yeah, they'll have
usually,
no idea.
You'll see it more often than not. They're supposed to kind of look over, and refs are usually pretty nice. If you check with them.
Yeah, sometimes they'll literally
they'll tell you, come on, bestie.
scoot back.
I get a little annoyed because how long have you been playing the game? I think you should know where you should be by now. This is probably your 700,000th game.
Down a football.
But it's fine. So,
yes.
And then false start is before the ball is snapped, someone's moving.
Yes, and so if the ball is not snapped, no one can move. No one should be jumping over that line.
No one should be running forward. You'll see guys running like back and forth.
Yes, sideways. They can run laterally.
They cannot cross that line into opponent territory almost.
Exactly.
Into
so
the
like
defense.
the offensive team cannot cross the line over onto the defensive side. The defensive team cannot cross that line over into the offensive side. They have this line of scrimmage where they need to be, and they can essentially move around for the most part. Like I say, for the most part, because there is obviously illegal formation and things like that.
Yeah.
You can move around. Certain positions can move around behind it. But until the center snaps the ball and the quarterback, has the ball or whatever, right when that ball is snapped and it leaves the center's hands, the play essentially starts, and they may now run to the other side and get going. Start working.
The last one of these, illegal formation of the 3 that we were just talking about. So in the rules, you must have 7 players and an eligible receiver on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So to prevent an illegal formation, each player between receivers must be an ineligible receiver. So if you F that up, besties, illegal formation.
Yes, if you have a player that's just not in the right position, it is just an illegal formation. We have seen this so many times just in week 1.
We'll show you how people line up. If you're not lining up correctly, illegal formation.
Yeah.
And they've been loving to call that this year, so.
Illegal formation, 5 yards, defense. Was that good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You should call them.
Okay. I think I'm ready.
Next one, we'll do our last one that can happen before the ball is snapped is delay of game. There is a play clock, and if the offense, if they can't get their shit together, because you'll usually hear them, they're like figuring out, like everyone's getting organized, and if they don't do it, because no one wants the game to last all night, if they don't do it in time, if the center does not snap the ball to quarterback, then that will be a delay of the game. You'll hear the whistle before anything happens.
Yep,
and
it's the same thing as like a shot clock violation in basketball or the pitch clock in baseball. Exactly. Yeah. It's just essentially to keep the game moving. The offensive team and defensive team or whatever, they're going to have, whatever it is, 15 seconds. I don't know how much it is, but they'll have a certain amount of time to call a play, get lined up, and execute the play, or at least snap the ball to start the play. And if they don't snap the ball to start the play in that time frame, it is a delay of game.
Period. Let's move on to defensive penalties, because there are penalties on all sides, but these are anywhere, but these are the most common defensive penalties. There's encroachment, defensive holding, pass interference, roughing the passer, illegal use of hands. We love all of those.
When you're playing defense, you know that like defensive players being in a defensive position, it's a physical part of the game. And so in order to essentially keep players safe, they do have these penalties. They have rules to keep players safe.
You get fined.
Yes, you can
lose
get
money.
fined a lot. And so
you get a penalty, and then later next week you get a nice fat check that you got to pay her.
Yep, literally.
A check request.
Yep, and so that's exactly why there's so many defensive penalties, because they're essentially just trying to keep everyone safe and make sure that everyone's playing the game of football respectfully and well. Correctly.
So defensive holding is basically when it's a foul that occurs when a defensive player tackles or holds any member of the offense that doesn't have the ball. You should not be
grabbing their
tackling
jersey.
someone, holding someone back like this when they don't have the ball, bestie. Why are you tackling them? Like, you can't tackle them until they have the ball.
Yes, and there's a certain way to block. Your hands should really be like this.
Pushing out?
You're
literally blocking. Yeah, you're pushing.
Literally, if your hands like start closing in on a jersey, they will call it holding. Like literally, if you're grabbing them, holding onto a jersey, grabbing arms.
Don't be doing that, besties.
Holding guys back. Yep. When you block, you'll learn that you want to block with your hands kind of like open and everything like that. That is a smart way to block.
And
that
then
is the right way to block.
Pass interference. Of course, the job of the cornerback and defensive back is to disrupt and ruin the wide receiver's day, but they can't like do it like excessively. Okay, like we have to give them a chance. So I could not, if Caitlin's like hands are up ready to catch a pass, like I cannot be like this, holding her hand, grabbing her this way,
grabbing arms,
grabbing her torso. Like I need to do it as cleanly as possible.
Yes, essentially the cornerback should never be grabbing onto the wide receiver. They need to be
like grabbing her shoulder to reach. Excuse me, to reach up.
Flag on the play.
Just again, unnecessary and things that are unnecessary, just like that.
Exactly. Yes. Literally, all that is it's a pass interference. You're sitting there. You're being too physical, making too much contact with the person trying to catch the ball.
Yes. And then another thing, roughing the passer is something that can result in not only a 15-yard penalty, but also an automatic
First down for the offensive team.
The offensive team. So that happens when a defensive player makes contact to the opposing quarterback when they're in the process of throwing or after they have thrown a pass to a receiver.
Especially,
thanks for making my day, bestie. I just got a first down and 15 extra yards.
Yeah, even if the pass was like incomplete or intercepted or whatever, it does not matter because you were roughing the passer. The offensive team automatically gets to go an extra 15 yards. Yeah, they'll get to go 15 whole yards forward and start on first down. Like I said, doesn't matter if that pass was completed or not. You essentially just gave the other team their first down.
Yeah, thanks for making my day, besties.
Plus an extra 5 yards. So, love that.
And then illegal use of hands is usually just face masks.
Pretty much.
Things like a face mask. So, again, I do not need to be grabbing Caitlin's helmet.
No.
I don't need to be grabbing up here. I don't need to be pulling her helmet off. Anything where my hands are on her face, face mask. Yep. That is a face mask penalty.
Yes, you should never be putting your hands in another guy's helmet.
Don't be doing that, besties.
It is so dangerous.
Another thing in that realm is a horse collar. Yep. That's grabbing by the collar.
I was going to say, you'll see, obviously, these guys have giant shoulder pads and stuff like that. A horse collar is when they're grabbing them by either like the collar of their jersey or those pads. And you'll see them you'll see their shoulders.
Yeah, they'll be like throwing them. Sometimes they literally grab them and they don't let go. So,
so literally just think anything around the collar. It's when the other team grabs that collar and pulls on it. That is called a horse collar. So the next two penalties are
personal fouls.
Oh yeah, I should say. The next two personal fouls, these ones are ones that again are just to protect players because these personal fouls essentially mean that you are playing the game dirty. You're not being smart. You're playing a little bit too forcefully. And
aggressive.
These can be, these ones are so hard because they can be subjective and everything like that. So you'll see some people call them like soft calls or whatever it may be. But essentially, again, this is just to protect people. So the first one is going to be unnecessary roughness. That is exactly as it sounds. It is literally just being unnecessarily rough, using too much force, using excessive amounts of force to a person with holding the ball, whoever it may be.
Illegal tackle.
Yes,
you're using your helmet
contact.
Yeah, you're like going in like a bull. Like that.
Yes,
you'll see it.
It is dangerous.
Usually, you'll see it if you see players getting into it and hotheads are the ones that put their, and they usually describe it. You see, like, and that's kind of how they call it when helmet to helmet contact, as if they lower their helmet.
Yes, because again, obviously that's very dangerous on your neck and your head. Another unnecessary roughness call you'll see a lot is like, I always see it with like receiver cornerbacks and stuff like that when they're like running a route. You'll see a lot of chippiness and everything like that between those two positions because obviously they're very competitive guys. A lot of the time, sometimes you'll see
they're like one. It's a lot of times one on one.
Yes, a lot of the times it is one on one, and so unnecessary roughness can happen when like that defensive player, that cornerback or whoever it is, like shoves a guy out of bounds who doesn't even have the ball. Or,
if he's already out of bounds. Exactly. Again, being
unnecessarily rough. So,
don't need to be doing that.
Yep, that's that one. That one, again, like I said, very self-explanatory. They're being unnecessarily rough.
Yeah, targeting is very similar.
Yes, targeting is very similar. Targeting is really going to be more like targeting parts of the body. It's really just like chest
Again,
up.
same thing with the helmet. That's a big thing in targeting. To anything like targeting or an unnecessary roughness. Anything with your helmet, they usually can tell if they were being dirty when they lower their head.
Exactly. Lowering their head, aiming for the neck or the head. Again, these are safety protocols. It is just
they are targeting a specific.
Yes, targeting a person in a dangerous specific area, and that'll get you in trouble right away, bestie.
Yeah, besties. So we thought this was going to be quick, and then we realized the game of football actually isn't quick at all. Sorry.
It's not, but again, we'll put chapters and everything like that. So if you have certain questions, like and you're watching a game or whatever, you can just find the chapter and find which section you want to be learning about.
Or if you already know some of this and just want to get again into like the glossary part, the definitions, some of the things you have heard and don't know. Send to your friends, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends,
besties,
cousins, best friends.
Yes,
daughters, sons.
We'll also, too, like if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to comment them, and we would love to just like we can respond to you and answer those questions.
No dumb questions here, besties.
Nope, no dumb questions.
No, and thank you for coming to our U Sports little lesson hour. We film actual episodes talking about games. So once you, now you've learned
how to play football,
how to watch and play football. You can watch the games this weekend, and then you can hear us talk about them next week.
And then you'll even understand all the terms. You'll understand what we're talking about. You're gonna be a genius. You're gonna literally show up.
You can watch this and literally don't even tell whoever thinks that you don't know about football.
Don't even tell them that you watched this. Just show up and be like, that was such a crazy sack.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, oh my God, was that it? That's totally a targeting call.
Yeah, that was so bad.
Why was he offsides?
Oh my gosh, it's 4th down. They should probably punt. And they're like, punt?
Are they going for 2?
Stop. Yeah, you're going to sound great. Mm-hmm. We believe in you.
We're so excited for you. We will do more of these when we get into basketball season. We'll have a whole nice little learning series.
I love that for you.
Well, welcome back
to U Sports.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye, besties.